holiday spirit and is one of the most festive times of the whole year. Rejoice and be glad, says the song, encouraging people everywhere to happily celebrate the birth of Christ. As the days count down, Santa costume volunteers are everywhere. Plastic reindeers decorate lawns, and nearly every house has a Christmas tree, blinking with lights celebrating Christ on earth. In the same festive mood, Jewish households stock up on all kinds of gifts. Yiddish games and Hanukkah candles to celebrate Hanukkah, the Jewish festival of light, and rededication of the second Jewish temple in Jerusalem. In the spirit of Christmaka, I would like to share with you a story told by my dad when I was a child. Afterwards, I will give a suggestions of how we, Boy Scouts of America, can brighten up someone's life this holy season. This story must have happened about 50 years ago in a small town called Lake Muscatine. The Wiggins was a family of 4 who just moved to the town about 3 years ago. Adrian, the father, worked as a mailman for the post office. Lois, the mother, was a cashier for a local grocery store. And the 2 children, Sarah and David, age of 5 and 7, didn't really do a lot except for just attending school. Christmas time was coming, and David has been campaigning his parents for a Lionel train set. For all his life, he wanted a Lionel train set. He spent hours at the local toy shop, gazing at the train set, studying tiny people in cute outfits, and doing chores in a mystical town full of lights. Studying peacefully on the large green meadow, lazy cattle were grazing, and mesmerizing the mighty steam locomotives roaring through the majestic snow-capped mountains and along the plastic trees next to the railroad track. There was a time when David wished for some kind of magic potion that he could take to transform himself into one of those tiny people living in the Lionel train set. So each day, he could take the stroll through the bristling pines to the railroad track to feel the majestic steam locomotives roaring past him. 1 week before Christmas, Adrian climbed on top of the roof to hang some Christmas lights, slipped his foot, and hit his head on the ground. The neighbor ran out and rushed him to the hospital. Old Martha, who lived next door, shook her head and said, "Adrian must be dead." Lois came home, confronted her 2 children, and calmly said, "You can stay here. I'll go to the hospital to see how your father's doing." Well, Adrian didn't die. In fact, he came home 3 days later with a big bandage all over his head, and he pretty much lay on his bed all day with a big bag of ice on his head. Christmas Day came, and the family was tight on money due to Adrian's injury. After combing through a garage sale, Lois came home with a 3-foot Christmas tree, a toy gun for David, and a doll for Sarah as a Christmas gift. Disappointed, David went to his room and cried. Lying on his bed, he wished he was adopted by a rich family who lived in a big mansion, who would buy him a giant Lionel train set the size of a living room. On Christmas Eve, David took a late-night stroll around the lake for some fresh air. Around the bend, he turned his head and looked back at his home from a far distance. It was a cold night with cold breeze blowing, pine trees bristling, smoke from the chimney rising, and Christmas lights blinking. David suddenly realized that he had seen this before. Where was it now? He mumbled. Oh yes! It was the scene of the Lionel train set at the toy shop. David finally realized that he's been living in the Lionel train set all along without even knowing it. He squinted and searched for his house on top of a hill next to a sycamore tree. He found his house with blinking lights radiated from the 3-foot Christmas tree and shadows of people moving in and out of the living room. David suddenly felt love, an unconditional love, from that tiny house and that real-life Lionel train set. David smiled, turned around, and headed for home. my Boy Scout friends. David, like many of us, are the lucky ones. We live in a home warmed by love with all sorts of comfort of life. At the very moment, there are many people who are not as fortunate as us. Each night, over 500,000 people go homeless in the United States. Approximately 65% are found in homeless shelters. And the other 35%, approximately 200,000 people, are found on the streets. The Scout Oath calls us all to help other people at all times. The Scout Law says a Scout is helpful, friendly, courteous, and kind. It is our duty to help these destitute people with whatever we can. The first step that we can take is to understand how they got there in the first place. Lack of affordable housing, loss of a job, physical and mental illness are usually the causes. Next, show respect and don't treat a homeless person as if he or she were invisible. Say, "Good morning," when you pass by, or strike up a conversation. Many people experiencing homelessness say that the loss of dignity that accompanies their situation is harder to bear than the actual loss of physical things. Donate things to homeless people. Clothing, shoes, and food are desperately needed. Non-perishable items such as blankets, coats, books, cups, and utensils are in short supply. If you are donating to a homeless shelter, consider donating office supplies, electronics, appliances, phone cards, or other items that can help those who help the homeless. Volunteer your time by signing up to work such as answering phones, sorting mail, serving food, washing dishes, and distributing clothes at the local homeless shelters. Last but not least, call your local homeless shelters to find out what items are really needed, and then contact your local Scout troops to organize food drives or other fundraising events to pull those items together. Lord Robert Baden-Powell, the Boy Scout founding father, once said, "The most worthwhile thing is to try to put happiness into the lives of others." Let us combine Christmas and Hanukkah spirit and every religion in the world and Boy Scout duty to help the needy this Christmas. Give them love, respect, and provide them with what they need within our means. Go out to brighten someone's life and go out to make a difference and make Lord Baden-Powell proud. I would like to propose to our troop, you and your friends and family, to show the spirit of scouting and to live the Scout Oath by bringing in canned food and unused items such as clothing, shoes, and blankets over the next 2 weeks so that they can be donated to our local homeless shelters to help the homeless this Christmas holiday season. I already started donating. This is my part, and I hope you will all help out with me too. So thank you.